I wanted to thank React, which is the owner of this property, for providing this as a plan B for us. Obviously, we had hoped for sunny skies and clear weather, but that just doesn't seem to be the way spring's gone for us so far. Obviously, we'd normally like to hold this a little bit earlier, closer to the actual groundbreaking, but because of COVID and the weather, this is when we managed to finally pull it all together. And I'd like to start off our program with the Pledge of Allegiance. And that is going to be led by Jennifer Hart from the Indianapolis Metropolitan Military Honor Guard.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so I'd like to welcome you all on behalf of the Woda Cooper Companies as well as HVAF of Indiana. Brian Copes, the CEO, is here with us. He is our co-developer on this project and the project owner. Our collaboration for this all started approximately 3 years ago when we first approached HVAF about partnering on an integrated supportive housing project. And at the time, we didn't have the ideal opportunity to go forward. But shortly thereafter, IHCDA put out an RFP for their annual Supportive Housing Institute training that we jointly applied for and we were accepted into. And then that kicked off a whole process of learning about the best practices for these type of projects. We then subsequently applied for low-income housing tax credits. We were successful there as well. And that was in July of 2020. And then here we are today, just about a year later, and we're looking to finish this project in about a year. Just to give you a little background, we're a national affordable housing developer. We have a presence in 15 states. We've completed over 350 projects. We own and manage about 14,000 units. We're a developer, a general contractor, and property manager. And this project in particular is going to consist of 61 family affordable housing units. We're going to have units available at 30%, 50%, and 80% of the area median income. But the key component here is the 15 units that we're setting aside for homeless veterans. I would like to thank the City of Indianapolis and Mayor Hogsett for being willing to come along. They were also important partners to make this project a reality. When we were trying to put together the financing for this, there was a few pieces that we needed to fall into place. And we worked with several of the staff here to get a payment in lieu of taxes, which helped us leverage the funds we needed here. And the Indianapolis Housing Agency also contributed project-based vouchers for our veterans to make this an affordable place for them to live. So with that, I'd like to introduce Mayor Joe Hogsett. He has a few remarks for the group, and we'll get the show started.
Well, good afternoon. It's so nice to be with you all today. You can never have enough affordable housing. A community of our size, and particularly when some of that housing is dedicated to our veterans. I spent just a minute or two with the Proctor family beforehand, and I was telling them that I'm the proud grandson of George Hogsett, who was Army, and he was a veteran of World War I. And he called that the Great War. I'm the proud son of Richard Hogsett. He was Navy, and he was a veteran of World War II. And he called that the big one. So I was sharing with the Proctor family, having grown up in that household, you can imagine what it was like on the day of the Army-Navy football game. I've always had a very soft spot in my heart for those who serve our country in that capacity. So I'm happy to be here at yet another development for this burgeoning campus. Today's groundbreaking, though, isn't just another development, right? It is responsible, it is necessary. and is aimed at addressing some of our city's most pressing concerns. This all comes at a time or in the wake of a challenging year. Do I have a witness? Too many Indianapolis residents are dealing with uncertainty around income, employment, and yes, housing. Even during a return to economic normalcy, we can expect many of our neighbors to be navigating personal and professional transition for some time to come. In response, the city has marshaled unprecedented investment in programs that can address many of these concerns, including the creation of a robust rental assistance fund, the growing our landscape of supportive housing units, investing in greater food access, connecting residents with new training and educational opportunity and programs. However, the need around these issues remains significant, and it is disproportionately felt among our veterans. That's why I'm grateful that the Indianapolis Housing Agency could provide vouchers for a portion of units to go to unsheltered veterans. Furthermore, by keeping all the other units available to those making less than 80% of the area median income, this project will be assuring our neighbors who have long stood by the West Side that their commitment will continue to be able, will allow them to continue to be able to afford to live here in spite of development increases. The Indianapolis Department of Metropolitan Development was proud to support this effort along with the Corporation for Supportive Housing. I would like to recognize them as well as HFAF of Indiana, the Indiana Housing and Community Development Authority, and obviously Woda Cooper Companies. All together, these groups are making for a more equitable, transformative development right here on our city's west side. And you know what they say about the west side. West side, best side. I'm eager to see what's ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you for those remarks. I really appreciate it. I think you did a great job of demonstrating that this isn't just a necessary project, but one that's a little bit extra special than your typical run-of-the-mill property. Next up, I'd like to introduce Brian Copes, the CEO of HVAF of Indiana and our partner on this project.
Thank you, Mayor Hogsett, for making time for us today. It's an important experience in the life of our city, and certainly an important experience for my agency and those that are partnered with us. We have lots of other partners, and I say a very inclusive and sincere thank you to each of you, but I'm going to confine my remarks this morning to tell you about Joey Proctor, for whom this property is named. Now, as I begin to do that, I count it a privilege to introduce one of our distinguished Gold Star families, those that have lost a loved one in service to their country, wearing the cloth of this nation, serving well and faithfully and offering up that last full measure of devotion. So I'd like to introduce to you this morning Navy veteran Lloyd Proctor, his wife Sharon Proctor, Joey's sister Vicki, Joey's brother David and Julie, got it right this time. Brother Eddie could not be with us here today, but would you join me in recognizing and honoring the Proctor family? Before my remarks, Brother David would like to offer some thoughts on behalf of the Proctor family. David.
First, I'd like to say thank you, Mayor Hogshead. You've done a wonderful job for Indianapolis. Appreciate the job you've done. And I'd also like to thank Woda Company, everybody that's involved, even people we don't know, to keep my brother's legacy alive. And on behalf of the Proctor family, my mom and dad, and everybody, we sincerely appreciate everything. Thank you.
Sergeant Joseph Eugene Joey Proctor was a member of the Indiana Army National Guard. He deployed to Iraq in 2006, and he was killed in action. Out of the 27 members of the Indiana National Guard killed in service since 9/11, Joey was distinguished for being awarded the Silver Star for heroism and gallantry. And I want to share just a brief description of his heroism. Joey was not, in typical terms, a combat soldier. He wasn't an infantryman, he wasn't a ranger, Green Beret, or the things that people normally imagine. Certainly when they think of soldier in general, and certainly not when you use the term combat soldier. Joey was a fuel handler. He pumped gas. He was a logistician. And he deployed in that capacity. And there was a need in the province that he was operating in for volunteers who wanted to be part of military transition teams, because the goal was to teach the Iraqis skills that they would need to sustain their country after the international community departed from that theater of operations. So he volunteered, he went to a remote observation post, and while he was at that observation post, it came under a complex attack, which started with indirect fire. That's artillery shells, 4 rounds that came into the observation post. And then shortly after that, there was machine gun and small arms fire. And the folks on that observation post recognized it was a complex attack, and those first 2 things were just diversions from the main event, which was a dump truck loaded with explosives that came barreling through the gate. Now, the alert had been sounded, and everybody knew something was happening, but Joey in that moment happened to be sitting in his hooch in his quarters, which was a reinforced concrete bunker. He was safe. But in the absence of orders, knowing that there was a need, he did what service members are trained to do. He picked up his weapon and he went outside to defend his comrades and his base camp. And he saw the dump truck coming, and he squared off in front of it, stood his ground, fired 25 rounds into the cab of the truck, killed the driver, but detonated the truck in the process. And the explosion mortally wounded Joey. Through his initiative, through his heroism, he sacrificed himself and saved hundreds of his comrades in that base camp who would have been killed had that dump truck found its intended target. That's the kind of soldier, that's the kind of man, that's the kind of son, that's the kind of brother that Joey Proctor was. Mom and Dad, you done good. You should be so very proud, and everybody else in your family. And it was our privilege as we were developing this project, knowing that it had an important veteran element to it. We wanted to distinguish that. We wanted to brand it so that people for years to come who have never heard of the Proctor family, and they'll show up and they'll need housing and they'll get settled, but somewhere in there, and there's going to be a plaque inside the lobby, but people will go, who's this Proctor guy? Well, we know what the story is. And so his legacy is going to live on for years and years and years to come. And we count it a privilege, and it is our great honor. And thank you for agreeing to use the family name for this project. And we're so grateful, so very, very grateful for Joey's service. General Patton had a quote and said, "It's foolish and wrong to mourn the men who died. Rather, we should thank God that such men lived." Well done, Mom and Dad. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. very moving. Next on our program, I do want to point out the contribution from the Corporation for Supportive Housing and the role that they played in this as well. I believe Lori Phillips-Steele is here, and she deserves credit for leading the training that our team jointly went through to understand all the issues that are involved in permanent supportive housing and how to best meet the needs of that special tenant population in projects of this type. So thank you very much, Lori. I believe we have a few representatives from around the state here as well. We have Chris Crabtree from Congressman Jim Banks' office, I believe. If you could identify yourself. Thank you for coming today. We have Monica Kozlowski from Senator Young's office. Thank you very much. And State Senator Greg Taylor, I believe, is present. Did he not make it today? Okay. Next, I would like to thank IHCDA. As many of you know, they are the state's housing finance agency, and they're responsible for making the very difficult call as to which projects receive financing and go forward each year. We simply don't have enough resources to meet all the needs that we have in the state, and it's a very highly competitive process. And in the time I've been developing here, you have about a 1 in 3 chance of success, and they have a lot of difficult decisions to make. But fortunately, they were able to provide the financing that we need for this necessary project. And to talk a little bit about that and their mission, I would like to introduce Jake Sipe from IHCDA.
Thank you, Proctor family, for allowing us the opportunity to continue the legacy of Joey. Thank you very much. It's interesting. I was excited to see today actually kind of overcast and raining. 20 years ago, I had a call from HVAC to come out to Warman to take a site visit, to look at some property and some buildings that were formerly used for doctor's offices and to convert them to transitional housing. And had the opportunity to come out and meet for the first time some folks from HVAC and learn about the mission of the agency, because at the time I really did not understand HVAC's mission and what they were all about. And it's amazing to see 20 years later how much progress we've made in providing safe, decent, affordable housing for our veterans. And now we're going to be doing that in an integrated setting so that everyone can also enjoy the amenities and the location of safe, decent, affordable housing that is also uplifting and making our community stronger. So thank you, Brian, for your leadership. Thank you to everyone at HVAC for the work that you do. It really is, truly is amazing. And I've had the opportunity to see it firsthand for the past 20 years, and I'm just really proud to be able to continue to be a partner in your mission of creating a safe, decent, affordable housing and lifting up our veterans across our state. So thank you very much for that. Nick mentioned the competitiveness of the tax credit program. It is highly competitive. And it is competitive because of one reason. It is the most powerful tool that we have in our country to create affordable housing. There is no other tool, financing tool, that can create this type of housing unless it's the tax credit program. It does so much more than creating an affordable housing unit. It changes lives, it changes communities, it lifts all of us up in a positive way. And I'm really proud that we were able to do that. And this is just a prime example of how powerful this tool is that we have in creating this type of housing. So with that, Nick, I should also point out, we do have the Indiana Permanent Supportive Housing Institute. It's been mentioned a few times, and Lori's here with Corporation for Supportive Housing and the partnership that we do. We're one of the very few states who bring together development teams from concept all the way through and actually into development of the housing and through the property management once it's even built. We never step away from it. But that's so important that we're able to take these teams through the Institute, and as part of that, we have, over the last 12 years, decreased our homeless population in our state by 38%. That is not good enough, and none of us should be satisfied. However, we do know that the Housing First model is a model that works, and it does improve people's lives with housing. So with that, I want to thank all of you for being here. I want to thank the mayor for your leadership, and Brian, again, for the great team that you do, and Woda Cooper Thank you for your partnership and the public-private partnership that's there. So thank you all, and Nick, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, Jake. I just want to just highlight a few of the other partners that we have in this project. As I mentioned earlier, the Indianapolis Housing Agency played a key role in providing the project-based vouchers for this. It's critical for this population, so thank you very much. You've been a great partner to work with. I just want to recognize Fallbrook Opportunity Zone too. That's our investor. They purchase our tax credits, and it's their equity that's financing the bulk of this project as well. Our lenders, Cedar Rapids Bank and Trust and Fifth Third Bank. And from Fifth Third Bank, I have Michelle Frazier, who would like to address the group as well.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. It's a great day despite the weather, so happy to be here. My name is Michelle Frazier, and I have the pleasure of serving as Fifth Third Bank's Community and Economic Development Manager for the state of Indiana. The joy I find in the work that I do every day is to simplify perfectly here today and with a room full of our community leaders, and we are really thankful for that. The collaboration of our private, public, and nonprofit sectors to break ground on high-quality, affordable housing that serves not only families in need, but to honor and house unsheltered veterans who serve this country is something to be celebrated today. Fifth Third Bank is a proud partner with organizations like HVAC of Indiana and Woda Cooper to continue creating better communities in which we live and in which we work. Thank you all. With that, I'll pass it back to Nick.
Thank you so much. We also need to recognize some of the folks who are involved in this on kind of the hands-on side of things. Our architect on this project is Cripe Architects. We have several representatives from them here today, and thank you so much for you did to make this a successful project. Soul Design and Consulting is our green consultant. As part of our project here, we'll at a minimum meet LEED Silver. We also have BWI LLC. They're our general contractor and a consultant on this project as well, and they've been a partner with us on a number of our Indiana projects to date. I also want to thank Jeff Woda and David Cooper Jr., the leadership of our company. Without that, we wouldn't get these projects done. They built a great machine starting in 1990 to where we are today. It's been quite a journey, and we've gone from I think a 4-person office working out of a closet basically to a company now that is in the top 10 in the country in terms of annual housing production. With that, I'd like to introduce David Cooper Jr., and he has a few remarks to share with us as well.
Thanks, Nick. I'm going to be brief because when I'm done speaking, I'm going to ask you to indulge me and watch a short video that we produced. But I want to say simply reiterate thanks to all who participated in this project. Mayor, thank you for being here. Thank you for the city's help. Jake, thank you for being here. Thank you for the agency's help. Fifth Third Bank has been a great partner of ours for many years. Rose Eaton, who we did not recognize, is here from Fallbrook, and we appreciate and are humbled by the trust that is put in us to take several $1 million and produce housing. I will add maybe just a couple more facts about our company. I would say that in our 31 years, we've developed somewhere over 350 affordable housing communities. We're rare in the sense that during that time, we've only ever sold one for a very particular reason over 12, 13 years ago now. Why do we continue to operate all those? Because we house somewhere north of 30,000 people, and all those people are meaningful and important, and we don't know that we trust others to step in and take over our vision and our creation. We don't think it should just be about maximizing a profit or doing something for the money, but it's about the people who live in the units, and that's always been important to us. So, we always say that we're a mission-driven organization. I will say, though, I think we've met our match with Brian and his organization. I don't know that I've seen anyone more mission-driven than HVAF, so, definitely appreciate the partnership. Thank you again to the Proctor family for being here. Very humbling just to be in your presence today. Really appreciate you allowing us to use your name for this building.
To create this ground for the building of a home for those in need. This is more than simply ground. It represents the dedication of a grateful nation and a city to care for those. And it will serve as a reminder to all by Sergeant Joey Proctor, who in service to our country. As we prepare to go forward with this project, may we never lose sight of the divine calling which has been placed upon each and every one of us to defend the defenseless, to care for the brokenhearted, and to bring peace where there is discord. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, bless the work that lies before us here today. Give strength to the workers who will build this home. Keep us ever mindful of the great duty that you have placed upon our shoulders to care for the homeless, for those in need, and for those who have served their country. We ask this all in your most holy name. Amen.